Hi everyone, Natu here again, back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about essentially what it takes to think differently as you're working on raising $10 million plus using systems of investment banking. Yeah, because essentially, it's really important to think differently. Because we're not really these days, we're really defined by how we take different core competencies and combine them. Because I believe that there are only two ways to really dominate in the sector that you're in, especially in the new digital age that we're all in. Essentially, one way could be using brute force by being the top 1%, top 0.00001% of everything that you do. That's one way. Another way really is to be the top 25% at different things, which gives you a nice, nasty, fierce combination, which is probably more easy for most people and allows people to have different ways of becoming number one in their industry. And so let me explain exactly what I mean. Because essentially, when people work on creating, a law firm, creating a boutique investment bank, creating a financial advisory, or creating a software development firm, people just copy and paste what other people do for a few reasons, without actually testing what really may be the best way for their unique talents and gifts. And let me explain all the things that cause people to almost go numb and not be innovative. And especially these days, it's really important to differentiate yourself as you go out to investors, you raise 10 million plus, or you're working on other types of ventures. So let me just walk through a few ways that, a few things that keep people kind of stuck as they're working on coming up with a new approach, in this particular case, in hitting capital markets. Yeah, so one way really is, so there are four things really that cause people to have these assumptions. And, if you look at how, for example, love him or hate him, like, for example, Elon Musk, what he's doing to take people to Mars, or, what Henry Ford did with cars. A lot of these people, these entrepreneurs that did something really great, they didn't settle for just being like another car manufacturer or being another technology company. They did something completely different by removing all assumptions, by basically thinking by first principles and removing all assumptions that were put on them by society and their colleagues. And so, yeah, the main goal is, if you're raising capital, really that's a skill, and it's a series of skills, obviously. And it's best to reason by first principles, by understanding the first principles arguments of all of the people that have, that you're working on getting to that high level of performance from. So let me just speak it in plain grassroots language. Let's say you're learning how to do something great. You first have to learn the basics, learn how to walk. You imitate. And then after you imitate enough, then you have to innovate based on your unique situation. Because, for example, a lot of business consultants would say, how much money does your business bring in every month, for example? Whereas people in the investment banking sector, they may ask a question like that, but every quarter or every year. Because, asking that question, the former question, would assume that one company makes its money continuously while other companies would make it based on closings of deals as well as consistently. And my point is, people have all these assumptions that people put on you for no reason. When it comes to investment banking, there are four types of ways that you can fall into, or not even investment banking, just broadly speaking, raising capital for any reason. There are four types of things that cause you to stagnate in your journey to really get it done well. I guess first is blindly following authority figures. So yeah, there are a lot of people that have great authority. You look at the people that actually, companies, individuals, people who actually turned models on their head. They didn't really follow authority figures blindly. They had to challenge the assumptions that were in their niche. For example, you look at Henry Ford and what he did to build cars. He challenged what people did in terms of creating something that was democratized, making things that weren't custom made and going against the norm. When it comes to how investment banks get get companies that they're willing to raise capital for. Many of them think that you only have to know them through personal connections and personal relationships. They don't understand that you can just leverage digital marketing to do so as well. When it comes to people who need to, need to do broker, need to actually broker deals and work on raising capital for deals, they realize that it doesn't need to be in the same province, or it doesn't need to be in the same states or in the same city. We live in a global economy, but it's just because a lot of the laws aren't catching up to the fact that things are global. So, this is really what I mean. And that's number one. Question all authority figures when it comes to the underlying assumptions that they bring into the table, because you may be able to find a new way to actually get your deal done as well. When the idea of venture capital was invented, because it is an idea that was invented, there was nothing like it. When the idea of leverage buyouts became popular, there was nobody at the time who thought that it made a lot of sense. So look at the types of companies that you're working on raising capital for. Look at the situation that makes the most amount of sense based on the type of company that it is, and then use that to your own advantage, create your own style, but you can only do that after you've mastered the basics. And so that's number one. Number two is, be careful and discount emotions, because emotions are useful in a certain sense. However, emotions can also distort reality. And so, always be wary when you do something that logically makes a lot of sense, and but maybe you're driven by emotion when it comes to making decisions continuously, or it's going in the right direction. Pay close attention to the emotion, but you also have to be aware of them. So basically be self-aware of the emotions and see if emotions are actually taking you in a direction that they shouldn't take you in. More often than not, they can actually help you out in making better big decisions. But when it comes to making small decisions about your strategy and your approach, just be careful, because emotions aren't really something that you can base 100% of your decision-making criteria on. And it doesn't really help you think by first principles if you depend only on emotion. So just be careful. You have to combine emotion and logic. And so that's number two. Number three is really groupthink. Yeah, because basically to be an entrepreneur, you have to make really big bets against what most people are doing, and you have to be right. And so just by that you're not following groupthink. However, a lot of people still fall into the trap of groupthink even amongst entrepreneurs. Many people think that, in order to start a company, a tech company, you have to create a company that creates something that's basically, you make 1 cent or $1 from every customer, and you have to make 1 billion customers. Many people think that, and then they think you have to raise venture capital money for you to fund the 5-year gap, and that's the only thing to do. And you just have to be extremely good at raising capital for you to create a business in the software. That's totally false. And this is driven by a lot of the groupthink that comes from things like how to start a startup and different things like that, because people weren't applying the first principles ideas and understanding how properly leveraging relationships in Silicon Valley is a very niche type of skill that is very situational based, and it takes a certain level of skill and sacrifices to do those things. And they also discount the fact that it may not work into the situations of 95% of people who may also be able to create a profitable business that is more service-based, but can still take the advantages of raising capital later. And so people don't understand all these things, and they just assume you do what everyone else does. In the context of raising capital, some people say, literally just cold call everybody. Why do you have to cold calling is important to develop your skills, to be persuasive and so on. But if there are better methods than cold calling, why not use them? Why not use ads? If you already have a proven system that works from cold calling after testing your offer in the market, why not use pay-per-click advertising? Why not use email? Why not use social media? Why not use digital marketing? Why not use all these things? Why do you only have to cold call to see if you can find somebody who is in capital markets, to see if you find a business that's selling, or if you want to work on finding investors, especially for the small transaction size? Why only cold call? And so you have to question all these assumptions to see, does it really make sense? And are you really following the principles of what people are saying, or are you following more just the tactics? Because you shouldn't just blindly follow tactics without understanding the principles and test it for yourself. So that's the third one. And fourth is really the cognitive biases. This is the last piece, because essentially, yeah, there are tons of cognitive biases that we have, and I can't even go through all of them, or else we'll be here all day. But essentially, people think that things that are there's so many cognitive biases that we have when it comes to making decisions that are wrong. Like, people think that things that are familiar are somehow better, and people think that things that are familiar are better. People think that things that people that are more similar to us are more true, are more honest. People think that things that you've seen more are more true, and people think that places and sceneries that you're more familiar with are probably better. Like, there are tons of these cognitive biases that we have. People that look like us, are smarter, or they care for us more. They have the best interest, our best interest, and that people. And another one is that, things that happened more recently, we just have better memories of and more fond memories of, and there are just a ton of cognitive biases. And so, it's really important to unplug from all that and to just say, hey, let's get a consortium of people around me so that we can actually make better decision-making skills when it comes to why are we doing the things that we're doing, and what cognitive biases are we falling into. And so you have to apply all of these things. If not, then you're going to fall victim to a lot of the mindless actions that most people take. And cognitive biases, there are hundreds of them, and I've just listed a few of them, but basically discounts your cognitive biases as well when it comes to being innovative. And the cognitive biases can also include I guess probably the biggest one that's most relevant to us is the things that are most familiar, the messages that you're hearing the most. Why is it that, there are certain messages and certain ideas that are in your head more than others, besides people just telling you them over and over and over again, whether it be advertisement, media, and so on. So just be very skeptical and question. And so with all these four things, just to recap quickly, essentially, yeah, first, you want to discount, be careful of authority figures. When somebody has authority in a certain subject, question if you're actually just blindly copying it without, after you get a certain level of competence in what they're doing, when you start to hit a certain level of success, then you have to start questioning quickly so that you can adapt their own principles to your style. Take their strategy and put it into your tactics, essentially. Next, look at emotions and, use emotions because they're important, but don't only make decisions based off emotions. Third, be careful of groupthink. If many people are doing something, that's when it's time to question yourself. And fourth, understand all the cognitive biases that are at play. And, when you're going to a company and then you're saying, hey, I'm raising this much money, and you're looking for all the skills that you need for you to actually execute that transaction, these are all the tools that can help you question whether the strategy that you're using to actually raise that money is the right one. And so with this, I thank you for watching this video. And yeah, we're called Raises.com for a reason. So if you want to learn about raising, and it's raising capital, not raising a salary or something, but raising your capital, just head to Raises.com. So thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.